Hey guys, Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and welcome to Mail Monday, a weekly series. Watching me drive. I'll get better. A weekly series that's about your questions and my answers to them. Here we go. The Physics of Love. Cool title. It'll make sense in a moment. Hey Woody, first off, let me say you're a really great role model for all your subs, and I admire everything you do for us with our problems. Well, thanks. Anyways, I'd like to get some help on a recent dilemma I had with this girl. Back in my sophomore year, there were a lot of cute freshman girls in my bio class, but me being the timid 5'3" sophomore in the class with crutches, fractured pelvis, all I did was admire them from afar. On the second day of school, I noticed this absolutely stunning girl sitting in the middle of the classroom. Her name was... and I'll blank that out. I know this really sounds cliche and creepy, but when I first saw her, I immediately fell in love. Throughout the year, I was trying to build enough confidence to go up to her and say hello. I never did, mostly because I just turned bright red whenever I talked to a girl. When junior year rolled by, she wasn't in any of my classes, so I just said, well, might as well give up. And even though I said I'd never stop liking her, in early 2013, she was in a relationship with a senior who's in college now, and I was crushed. This was the point where I just didn't care anymore. I was starting to move on. Now I'm here. Senior year. She's in my physics class, and I sit next to her. I talk to her, ignoring my face. Remember, his face turns red when he talks to girls. I talk to her, ignoring my face, and we've become okay friends. We have similar interests, and she's possibly the sweetest girl I've ever met. I really want to ask her out, but I don't know where to start. Finally, I have a chance to, but I feel pressured. Like I felt all those 2 years would be lost if she said no. Also, physics class would be a pretty awkward way to do it, too. I don't want to get rejected by a girl I've quote-unquote loved for 2 years. Please help me, Woody. What should I do? I don't care about Mail Monday. I'd just like a reply. Thanks a ton, and fuck Kyle. I love this question. And the reason why is I think it applies to so many people, guys in high school in particular. There's one person who's just a legend to you. You take her and you put her on a pedestal, and there she is. And she's the most perfect girl who's ever been a girl. And if you could somehow date her, then she would be so fantastic. And she doesn't know how great you are right now, but she will if she gives you a shot. And you spend years pining after her from afar, being too afraid to talk to her out of sheer wonderfulness. And you need movement. You need movement. Movement in any direction. This relationship is in its worst possible spot, where you close off the door to everybody else while you just sit there and hope that somehow the prom queen asks you out. That's unlikely. I think you should ask her out. You know why? Because I can think of girls in high school who I might have had a shot with, and I didn't ask out because I volunteered to lose, right? There was this girl, I'll name her, Kelly Richards. She was, one of the most popular girls in my school, and I remember I took her to jump off a bridge. There was this really high bridge, and my friends and I did it all the time. And one day after school, we set up almost like a tour guide type thing. This is how you jump off a 40-foot bridge. This is, how you gauge the current so it sweeps you over to the dock. This is how you look for boats. You set up lookouts for police and traffic and boats so you don't land on one and such. And we had it all down to a science. We jumped off this bridge so many times. And one day after school, people were like, no way, you really do that? And we're like, like all the time. And I took this girl over, and after we jumped off and made it back to the dock safely, she was holding my arm. She put her ear on my shoulder, and she's like, I had the most wonderful time, and it's all because of you. Can you imagine that? She's holding my bicep with two hands, and she's shorter than me, so she puts her ear on my shoulder and says she's had a wonderful time. And I just sort of stood there frozen almost. Thanks, man. I'm happy to do it. And it ended there. Dude, she totally liked me. And I didn't make my move. Life turned out fine. I'm good. But sometimes I look back and think, man, such a puss. You shouldn't lose because you failed to try. You should give something a go and then go for it. That's your deal, And what are you, a senior in high school if I'm reading this right? And it is time for you to stop being the guy I was as a sophomore that I just described and start being, the senior version of you, the super version of you. Hold your chin up. Give this thing a go, and if it doesn't work, know that it's still a step in a forward direction, because everything is a step in a forward direction compared to where you are now, which is just full on, admiring a girl from afar way too timidly. So give it a go and understand that whatever happens, it's an upgrade from this situation you're in right now. My girlfriend was raped. I need help. You'll notice a lot of this is crossed out. It's because I want to make sure they stay anonymous. I felt like some of the details he put in here, people who knew them in real life would be able to figure out who they were. Hey, Woody. Last night and technically this morning, I found out my girlfriend had been raped. Today's my birthday, and I feel terrible because we were sort of fighting at the time, and I was being an ass until she told me what was going on. I really had no idea what to do. I just told her I loved her, which I do, that everything was going to be okay. She's already told her mom and gotten the police involved. Just today I turned whatever, and she is this old. Woody, I'm dating this great girl, and this happens on my birthday. What the fuck did I do to deserve this? I seriously have no idea what to do. She sent me pictures of the bruises she has, and my legs literally collapsed. I'm not going to lie about it. I've been crying all night. I really care for her, but I just don't know what I can do. I think I've done all the right things in trying to comfort her as much as possible and tell her that everything is going to be okay. I want to kill the guy that did this to her, but she has no idea who he was. I remember a mail Monday, some guy sent you about him fantasizing about rape, and I almost lost it. How fucking low of a human being can you be to do this to such a sweet, beautiful girl? I'm scared now about how this will affect her in the future. I Googled this and found a forum where girls and guys were talking about similar situations and how this can haunt you for the rest of your life. I feel so weak because I wasn't there to protect her, man. I'm sorry to dump all this on you, but I really hope you can help me. I just need some support right now. I'm sorry this happened. It's terrible. And it's not over, right? The assault is over. The recovery's just started. And that's a really big deal. It's going to go on for a while, possibly for years. There's a ton of stuff that you can expect to be coming her way, right? I mean, she might spend the next couple of days or weeks feeling numb, right? Terrorized, obsession to wash and clean, right? That's a common one. Crying. One time on Painkiller already, and I took a lot of heat for this, but I said that in the case of rape, the worst part of the trauma isn't the physical part. That's terrible. She has bruises, it's a bad experience. But the worst part of it, the part that's most difficult to recover from, is the emotional part, right? It's an intimate crime. That's the term that they use. What he took away from her was not a bruise. It was something more sensitive. It was something more innocent. And that's what sucks about this so much. You can't be there all the time. I see you blaming yourself, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. And let's talk about your role, right? First of all, get educated on some of this stuff, right? There are steps to recovery after somebody dies, and there's similar repeatable, noticeable steps after a rape. There's this acute stage, this adjustment stage, particular things that you might expect that if you just do, a little reading and talking, you'll know that she's just going through kind of a rape grieving process. And if you're more aware of it, then you can help her through it a little better. You can be tolerant of the trauma that she's going through. Better, you can be tolerant of the effects of the trauma that she went through, and let her know that it's okay. Let her know that you still love her. Let her know that you're still same team. That's where you want to be. This you being her rock is your actual job. You being her rock, her stable place, someone who's on her side, someone who's not judging her and letting her think that it's her fault. It's not her fault. It's not your fault. It's the rapist's fault. Period. That's who's responsible for this thing. I know you want to go get this guy. That's not the job either. If you did somehow know who this guy was, the police can get him way better than you can. Rapists don't do well in prison. Take some joy out of that. So yeah, be on her team. be on her side and get that you guys can work through this together. Never make her feel like she cheated on you. Never make her feel like she's somehow, not what she was beforehand. She's the same person. She just had, this understates it, she just had a terrible day, a terrible night. And eventually she'll move past it, and it'll be, something that sucked, but something that's in her past as she works her way to being normal and happy and well-adjusted again, which is, she'll get there, and you'll be there with her if you guys stay together. It's not your fault. It's not her fault. Expect her to go through this process as she transforms from the victim she is now to the normal person that she was before. 2 Girls, 1 Problem. Good title. Hey, Woody. I want to start by saying you're one of my role models and one of the best people I know. Well, thank you. I have a problem. 2 of my really good girlfriends like me, and I can't decide between the 2 of them. I kind of had a thing with girl 1 in the past, and I think she's the prettier of the 2. But me and girl 2 are closer right now, and she's pretty much my best friend. I've been going back and forth between the 2 for a few weeks. Me and girl 2 snuggled, and we watched a scary movie with our friends. Girl 1 wasn't there. And we also snuggled and slept our way back from a concert we went to. I feel like a douchebag leading them both on, when what I really want to do is end up with either one or even neither. So Woody, what should I do? Well, first of all, you are a douchebag for leading them both on. So let's get that resolved. Girls get hazed. I'm going to talk about the friend zone for a second. A lot of people are like, the friend zone isn't real, the friend zone is bad. The friend zone is real. It is a thing that girls do, and it's not an act of violence. I often think that when girls friend zone a guy, it's an act of compassion gone wrong. It's this, they think that they're being nice to you, that they're too sweet to say no, but the reality is they put you in a spot where that other letter writer is the first guy who's in this limbo who never moves forward into a better place. So now you have 2 girls in limbo right now, and you need to move one to a better place. How do you pick a girl when you've got 2 waiting to say yes? I was talking to my wife 2 days ago or something, and we were just discussing back and forth about somebody in our lives, and she's like, I think if she was a better wife, her husband wouldn't have these problems. He wouldn't have, like a lack of ambition or this or that, and that, they'd work together and be a better team. That perhaps it is somehow, at least sort of kind of, her responsibility to turn her husband into the super version of him, to encourage him to be, a perfect guy. And I think when you're picking a girl, you should look for the one that does that for you. One slightly prettier, but you seem to like them both. I would be asking myself, which one's going to make me the best me? Which one do you think, if you date her, are you more likely to go to the college you want to go to? Are you more likely to be happy? Are you more likely to avoid drama? Are you more likely, to not have to cut your friends out of your life? Pick that one. If one's slightly prettier than the other, whatever. If you want to be happy, if you want to have a good high school experience, you're not going to look back and be like, well, this one was an 8 and this one was a, 7.8. Whatever, dude. No. Pick the one that turns you into the best you. Pick the one that is the best partner for you. I'm not saying looks don't count. They clearly do. They obviously do. But if they're in the same league, gosh, there are other tiebreakers than just, picking on looks alone. So that's my advice to you. Pick one, and pick the one that makes you the best you.